they find out this is not a lifelong sentence of unhappiness. So one of my greatest joys is, again, Laura touched on it, is the privilege and honor of getting to know young people who are part of this community, because they are among the most beautiful and courageous people that I have ever met in my life. Because to live your authentic life in a world that tells you that you're not right or you're not who you should be, that takes courage, tremendous courage. Our children are my heroes. I'm reminded of a quote by the author, Anais Nin. I love this quote, and I like to say it at PFLAG a lot. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. I think that just sums up why our kids come out in an often difficult world. So I also remain part of PFLAG because just as our children are on a journey, the parents are on a journey as well. My youngest child came out at 15 as a lesbian and defined, she called herself then, as a lesbian. Many years later, I think we see that younger people are questioning the narrow definition of gender. They're questioning the narrow definition we've all grown up with of gender expression. And my child, many, many years later, for the first time saw an accurate portrayal, believe it or not, on Instagram, this is the modern world, of who they felt they could be, which was people who said, I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl, or maybe some days I feel more like a boy, or some days I feel more like a girl. And each person defines non-binary for themselves. And my child said, wow, looked at that and said, wow, that's who I am. So here we are as parents, 20 years later, once again on a journey of understanding that language and that identity as we all evolve and grow as people. And so we as parents, we find support in that community of adults in the same way that our children have other groups where they find support for their world. So before I turn it over to Lisa and the wonderful artists, I want to say the fondest hope at PFLAG is that we live in a world that we don't need to exist. So that's our hope. So I turn it over to you now, Lisa.
And I'm going to turn it over to the artists. So tonight we have 4 fantastic artists. The first artist that will be speaking tonight is Zoe Brokovic, and she is an accomplished professional photographer specializing in shooting for retail, fashion, and advertising, and her subject matter, I think, is predominantly children. So Zoe, take over.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to all of you. Thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Laura, and thanks, Mimi. I just want to add my own tiny piece. I came to PFLAG for support in June, so not even a year ago. And not only did I find support for what I was looking for, but I found family, and I'm so grateful to be a part of something so beautiful. So that's my PFLAG thing, going to my work. I think Lisa put it really well. I was going to introduce myself like I'm a photographer. That's what I do, retail, mostly retail advertising and editorial kids fashion. What I'm going to share today is mostly my editorial work, because that's when I have the creative control to create that body of work that I'm the most invested in. So I'm going to jump right in. The only preface I'm going to have is to say that my work is a really collaborative medium. Like all of these images that are mine are also created by wardrobe stylists and lighting directors and art directors and hair and makeup people and the models and their moms and dads and caretakers, and there's so much that goes into all of these images. So if you want to know who else was involved in any of them, they're on my Instagram feed and they're usually linked to whoever was a part of it. So I'm just going to share my screen. I just chose at random some of my favorite images. There we go. All right. I'm assuming you could see my screen. Let's see. Some of them I have backstories for, and like Lisa said, I'm open to any questions. It doesn't even have to be in the chat if anybody wants to shout out anything. Most of the information about the images are boring, like who it was shot for, but this is from one of my favorite shoots I ever did. It's in one of the Astor mansions in Rhinebeck, New York. I read this memoir of the woman that lived there in poverty, and the story really struck me. So I reached out to her to see if there is a possibility of shooting in the house that she grew up in, and ended up doing this editorial story there for a magazine. But yeah, it's still one of my favorites, even though it's an old one. This kid's mom reached out to me right before the shoot saying that she probably shouldn't bring him because he had bumped his eye and had a black eye. And I was like, by all means, bring him. We got the gloves, and I just think it's one of my favorite images. I think it speaks to the reality of childhood and the reality of us adults. You know, we're all wounded somehow. It just makes us more beautiful if we look at it this way. Palm Desert in California. This was shot in the desert in Israel. This amazing mom owns a modeling agency, models, and has all her kids in modeling, and it was such an amazing experience. You look at these kids and look at her. There's another one of them. This was shot here in RCC, which, you know, a lot of my work is shot locally because I know the ins and outs of Rockland County. I don't know if anybody's familiar with a sartorialist. He does these fashion, like shots of adults all over around, usually around Fashion Week. We tried to imitate it with the kids. You see the woman in the background with the striped shirt was walking her 3 dogs, and we kind of asked her if we could borrow them for the shot. And it worked, so. This is a kid that I met kind of at an event that was nothing to do with modeling, and I just needed to shoot her. If I go back real quick, you'll see that she was the kid that I shot here when she was younger. Just something that happens sometimes. Parents could think I'm really creepy, but I'm like, I want to photograph your kid. And the last set that I'm going to share today. Just, you know, because there's nothing like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So yeah, if there's any questions or comments.
Zoe, you have a lot of great comments. I actually have a question. I mean, these are stunning photos.
Thank you.
They are absolutely exceptional. Can you tell everyone a little bit, have you always been a photographer when you were a little kid? Did you have a camera? Like, how did this career really start, and you know, where, when, the whole thing?
How much time do I have? So to put a really, really long story short, I I still don't love holding the camera. I'm not like, I never considered myself a photographer. I really love what's in front of me, and that's just the medium of what's I'm using to capture it. I love the light. I love the composition. And most of all, I love the kids and what they give me. They're so authentic when you kind of get them to calm down and trust you enough. I was a mom of 2 young kids. I was young. I gave up a teaching job, tried to build a business, failed, picked up a camera, and I was like, maybe I could do this. Threw myself into it without going to any kind of college. I flew in photographers together with other photographer friends to teach us, you know, whoever we thought were great photographers from all over the world. We had people teach us in person. And bit by bit, I learned more and more. And I started as a family photographer here in Rockland County. And then I decided I want to do something more. So I switched over to doing just the commercial stuff. Now I have an amazing agent in the city who kind of gets my work, and I just have to do my side of things. So that's putting a really long story into something really short. That's basically it. I picked up a camera and I worked really hard and love what I do. And, you know, a lot of this work is stuff that I've been doing. I haven't been shooting a lot of my own personal work during COVID. I'm working on a really great project that I'm really excited to put out, and was hoping I could share today, but it's just not quite there yet. So I didn't want to put it out if it's going to be made public yet. But something along the line of portraits of these kids where they kind of also are interviewed to tell us a little bit about themselves. So if you follow me on any social media, when it comes out, you could kind of be a part of that.
Zoe, would you write your social media name in the chat so everyone, I mean, I follow you already, but so everyone can follow you, because seeing your photos in social media, it brightens my day. They're just beautiful and engaging, and there's something just very poetic about them. And thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a great start. Our next talented artist is Salvador Sanchez. Sal is a deaf multimedia artist, illustrator, an incredible animator, and graphic designer. And just like with Zoe, I also recommend that everyone follow Sal on social media. He will take you on a wonderful journey, I promise. So, and Chloe is here, and Chloe's his interpreter, and she will be speaking for Sal. So take it away.
Can we spotlight me and Sal at the same time?
I do not know how to do that. Is there a way of doing it?
Yeah, there should be. Let's see here. Or I guess maybe we'll spotlight pin Sal.
Do I do that, or does everyone do it individually?
Why don't you try doing it as the host?
Okay.
Just because I want people to be able to see Sal and not me chatting.
Okay, I've pinned him now. Is he pinned for everyone else as well? No, so everyone would have to pin Sal themselves.
Okay, let's do that. Pin Sal if you can. Find Sal.
Right, to pin Sal, Sal, you go to his image. He's wearing a black shirt with a print on it and black rim glasses. And you should be able to select pin for him. Okay.
Sal, can you see me clearly? Okay, Sal is saying he would prefer me to keep my video on just so it's a little bit clearer to him what I'm saying. But you're going to be hearing, this is Sal's voice. My name is Chloe, and I'm just gonna voice for Sal tonight.
Okay, so get started whenever the two of you are ready.
He's just trying to share his screen. Hold one moment.
Oh, great.
Okay, perfect. Can everyone hear me all right? Perfect. The artist's life. My name is Salvador Sanchez. After hearing loss. So hearing loss left me very isolated and without a way to communicate. And through my artwork, I started exploring all of my different complicated emotions. And I started accepting that my life would not be the way I thought it would be. But I decided that I needed to work at adapting to the changes and helping other people. Through my artwork, I'm exploring all of these complicated emotions that came with entering the deaf world, as well as the cultural differences between the hearing world and the deaf world. A long time ago when this happened, it was like I had lost a part of myself, a part of my identity. And I'm not sure if I can find that part again. But I'm not really sure that's relevant anymore, because maybe my life has improved. Maybe it's better this way. Eye movement, desensitization and reprocessing. EMDR therapy, what is that? It's a kind of therapy that helps people recover from traumatic events. It uses eye movements and lights. This painting here represents experience with EMDR therapy. It was a positive experience. How does EMDR therapy work? Before I experienced EMDR therapy, my therapist would ask me, "How are you feeling today? How do you feel?" And I said, I felt like I was not good enough. This painting describes how EMDR therapy works. You follow the light bar with your eyes to reprogram traumatic events. After EMDR therapy, the therapist would ask me again, "How are you feeling?" And honestly, I told her I felt like I'm good enough. My trauma was over. After I finished EMDR therapy, the therapist told me, imagine a box in which you can put all of your negativity, and then find a place safe to keep that box, stash it away. You can keep it safe there. And then you can just take some deep breaths and relax. And that's what this painting's about. You may notice that many of my paintings use the primary colors. The primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. In my painting, the primary colors are inspired by another famous deaf artist, and they represent deaf culture and deaf pride.
What up?
If you look in the background, you'll see that there are hidden messages
Yeah.
in the paintings. Did I hear something? No? Okay. I was saying in the background, there are hidden messages in the paintings. The ocean of deaf and hearing. I was born hearing, and my hearing loss was gradual as I entered adulthood. Because of this, it's like I'm aware of two different worlds and two different lives and cultures that are existing in the same space at the same time. Sort of like the ocean. It's my visual imagining of the deaf world, how it exists interwoven into the hearing world. This painting is called The Deaf Cafe. I regained a means to express myself. And I found a new connection with other deaf people in the community through American Sign Language. Now I'm able to integrate my experiences living in the deaf and the hearing world into my daily life. Barriers of deafness. So some common barriers that I encounter daily are no captions in movie theaters, limited jobs that are available, limited jobs available in quiet environments. An example would be at work once, a pharmacist, I had said to him, I'm deaf, but he just kept talking. Sometimes there are no interpreters at events or at interviews or like at the first day of a job. When I have dinner with hearing people, I feel totally left out of conversation. So how do I overcome this? First, I learned American Sign Language. I became friends with deaf people and also with hearing people. And that way I could create a future that involved American Sign Language. I did take speech class and lip reading class. And I practiced speaking slowly and clearly. During this pandemic, I've been creating American Sign Language animations. And that'll give people an idea of how to sign in American Sign Language. Here are a few examples. You could also see them on Instagram. You can see other examples. My handle is Salvador Sanchez Artist, and on Giphy and GIF and the stickers if you search for ASL Owl. This first one is a dolphin here. The second picture is a light turning on and off. This is a car driving. This is the hand shape you've used to represent a vehicle. And in the background, you see some cactuses. Another little extra sign back there. And then pumpkin. Sometimes my focus needs to be on my new life and on finding a new way. I can't focus on the things I've lost because that becomes really destructive. And it's true that I do have huge barriers to overcome. But when I look at myself and I analyze how far I've come and everything I've overcome already, I feel really optimistic. So thank you so much for allowing me to share about my artwork. I think this is an amazing organization. And as a deaf person, I am also a member of an oppressed community. And I really appreciate supporting other marginalized communities, other oppressed communities. I think that's really important. So that's all, thank you.
Sal, thank you so much. And Chloe, thank you so much. That was incredible. Please read the comments in the chat. I think they reflect how everybody's feeling right now. And personally, I've always been a fan of Sal's work, and now going on this journey and hearing more about the history behind a lot of his pieces, it just makes me love it even more if that's possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful organization. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you. Okay. So now we will hear from Chris Campbell. Chris is Chris, I call you a modern needlework artist. I hope that is a fair description, because to me what you do is mind-blowing, and I hope everybody, enjoys themselves, because this is not your grandmother's needlework, not even close. Chris?
Okay. First, thank you, Sal. Thank you so much. That was really, it was the first time I got to listen to a deaf person on Zoom. And after a year of Zoom, there's not a lot of firsts. Thank you. I have share my screen. Am I to do that? Everything's good? You can hear me? Great. Hi, I'm Chris Campbell. I'm really excited to be a part of it tonight. PFLAG has a special place in my heart, and the meetings I've gone to have always taught me to accept and love even more, and to see the barriers I have, and at the end just realize I can get rid of those. It's a choice. So I'm going to cry, because it's really hard sometimes to recognize those parts in yourself that hold you back, and to work hard at really just loving. So I'm Chris Campbell. I do art, and this is not your grandmother's needlework. Before pandemic, I was doing large stitch, cross stitch. I would do one image. I'm going to show a video at the same time. I'm hoping that there's I put it on mute. This is a video of a piece that was at Garnerville. That's called The Shepherd. It's of a trans model. I was lucky enough to be associated with a gallery that was focused on serving the needs of LGBTQ+. And through that, I got to meet some fantastic people and work with trans models and hear their story. So once this hangs in a hallway, and there's two sides to all of my art, it's important to see both. This side that you see is the loose side, and this side is the controlled side. So that's my intention. And that's important. I'm trying to it's important because one side is the side we control and that you see, but in our bodies, there's the other side, and it's what's like to be inside, and that's that other side to me. It's the barrier to all of us is our skin and our interpretation of other people's skins. So that is where the screen has become really, really important in my work. Since pandemic started, I started a new series because I realized we weren't going to go inside, and I really need art, and I need to see other people's art. So I was like, we have to go outside. It's got to go outside. And this is all done. Every time I had a question, somehow I got an answer. I found this netting. My husband is in the construction industry. So during pandemic, you also realize like it was really hard to buy anything. Like everything had to be ordered online. A lot of it, like, colors weren't right. This is all construction netting. So he could get it to me in 2 days straight. And it's very, very durable. You can't even cut it with an X-Acto knife. But so this is a detail of the next piece I'm going to show. But one side, once again, is cross-stitched, which is a needle point of making an X. It's always an X. It's an X as a symbol of a barrier to me. And this is the other side where you get to see how it's made. And it to me feels like the inside of my skin, what it is that it takes to present the other side. What I'm doing is I'm going through the pride flag. I feel that before Linnaeus labeled us black, white, red, and yellow, if you take that out, I think, so color is energy. And there's times you feel orange and you probably associate with dressing, like there's an orange vibe and a red vibe and a blue vibe. I think that comes from your soul and your essence. And so my goal is to have all the colors of the pride flag. That's 11 colors, and there's more added, and to have people relate to those colors and have a physical relationship with those colors. And then as they relate to those colors, see that other people are really vibing at that point with orange or yellow, and make a connection with those colors. So that relationship with the physical energy of color and the body. This is a video. But it's a really long video. I wanted to show you. It's 3 minutes 10. This is how it gets put up, which you get to see on Saturday on Instagram. So 3 minutes. The video's at 3 minutes. It's kind of cool. This is its hanging up. It's 11 feet square. It floats in the wind. And so when you come up really close, you can see how it's made. You can see that it's made of individual stitches. And as you get further away, very quickly you see the whole thing. And you lose the idea of what all the little things it takes to make the piece. And that to me is a lot about being human. And I'm going to try and get out of this. I'll show you this is I am green. So that energy of the green is very symmetrical and centered. And this is purple. So I am purple. I was in a show in December called Let There Be Light, and it was the first time I got to put the 3 pieces next to each other. So there you can see in a building location outside, they take up a lot of space and they also don't. I think that is the end of my video. I wanted to thank the Rockland. I think this is also amazing, the Rockland Arts Festival, the idea of coming together as artists, all different forms, especially to continue it during COVID times, is really brave and awesome, and really proud to be a part of it. I think that's it.
Chris, that was fantastic. I hope everyone will join us on Saturday at 2 o'clock on Instagram. Go to the Rockland Arts Festival Instagram page and join us and experience the installation and the debut of the next color for Chris in the flag. Thank you so much, Chris. That was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Our last artist is Kayla Sharp. Kayla is a photographer, and I looked at Kayla's artist statement a few days ago, and I just wrote myself some notes because I really felt like her artist statement really depicts who she is as a photographer. And I really feel that everybody will join me in appreciating the way that she's able to capture the subtle beauty that, you know, in the everyday, in common locations, common objects. Through her lens, she's able to capture just a beautiful, different perspective. And she's going to share that with us tonight. So thank you so much, Kayla. Take it away.
Wow. Well, okay, first of all, thank you. Can you hear me all right? Yeah, okay. I'm not, yeah, I'm on speaker view. I can only see you, Lisa. Anyway, I wanted to thank PFLAG and just and the Rockland Arts Festival for having this event. It's really, I'm blown away. Every time I'm on one of these calls and I see all of these magnificent new artists, I mean, not new, but sometimes new to me. I had no idea about Zoe's incredible work. And I had seen Chris's work, but I hadn't seen how it was made. And Salvador just blows me away. So it's really, it's so beautiful to be a part of this community and part of the PFLAG community. So thank you to the Rockland Arts Festival and to PFLAG. I'm going to talk largely about process, because I was thinking, you know, rather than, I just felt like sometimes it's interesting to say, okay, so here's the picture that you presented. How did you get to that? You know, and what was the path that you take? Because for me, oftentimes, where I start is not at all where I finish. So a few years ago, we were doing the PFLAG Walk in Our Shoes exhibit. And essentially what they did was they had participating artists and photographers, and then PFLAG members and volunteers and advocates would write notes attached to pictures of their shoes. And they would write notes about the work that they had done or how the organization works for them or what they feel about it. And the note I got was just so incredible. And it was from this social justice advocate who had been working for 4 decades to benefit the LGBT community, as well as you know, all sorts of social causes. And attached to that was a picture of a pair of wingtip shoes. And one shoe was tied, one shoe was untied. The tied shoe, the note said, was to represent the 40 years of work that had been done in social issues. And the untied shoe was to represent the work yet to be done. And that really touched me. And the first thing I said when I read this is, this person's an angel. So I latched onto that. And I said, okay, I'm doing something with angels. I know I am. And that's kind of lofty, but I automatically go to the most grandiose thing I can imagine. So you know, speaking of Garner Art Center, I had in mind that alley in Garner where they put up all the lights going back and forth. It's so beautiful and gritty and urban and dirty, and I love all of that. That's my vibe. And I had this idea for 20 people that, you know, were going to be, it was basically this angel was making wings for the LGBT community so that they could spread their wings and fly and just be a part of that joy. It was just, you know, and it had to be raining or just had been raining, so there would be puddles, so there would be reflections. It was very immense. And I didn't do that because I can't wrangle 3 people for a photo shoot, much less 30, and control the weather and all of that. So scale down. So then I thought, okay, well, I'm still grooving on this angel thing, and I still really like the idea that they are making wings for others. So then I thought about like a cobbler or somebody at a workbench, but rather than shoes, they're making angels, or they have somebody standing and they're like sculpting wings from them. And had a location, the John Green House, which I'm a member of that organization, is an old 1819 sandstone house that is in disrepair and is being repaired. But again, right now, it's open beams and crumbling plaster and dirt and dust, and I love it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. And it just didn't work. I couldn't find the person that I wanted to be that person, because that's kind of an immense role. So scale down. So, and now there's a deadline looming. Now, you know, it's like, okay, so there's a week left before this thing and I have to do something. Still want to do angels. So I said, okay, I'm going to get a pair of wings. I ordered a pair of wings from Amazon they were too small. So I went to AC Moore and I bought just bags of feathers, and I got out my hot glue gun and I extended these wings by about 8 to 10 inches and made them more angular. And I said, okay, now I have the wings. I have a pair of wingtip shoes. I went and got a pair for myself just in case, you know, I had to model or use them in some way. And I said, okay, there's a picture that I've done. Now I'm going to try to share my screen. Let me see if I can do this. This is really my first time doing this. So if I screw it up, don't be upset. Okay. Yeah. Share screen. Okay, and it said internal error. Okay, you know what? That's okay. Are you still with me? All right. I know the technology is going to fail me, so I have plan B. I have live. So yeah, exactly. So I had taken a picture that ended up being used in the Bluefield Artist Denim exhibit. And it's called, I called it Mercury. Let me try to get the glare off of the screen a little bit. There you go. And this was a picture that was taken in Bethel, New York, sitting at a bench, my wonderful model, Joe Newman. We hadn't intended to shoot anything. We found this bench. I loved the metal highlights. And I said, okay, totally want to use that. So we did, and we went up there and I tried to use it and it was okay. It was okay. You know, I had her in her wingtips in a similar pose, but with the angel wings like coming behind. And it was fine. It was acceptable, but it wasn't, oh my God, yes. And I think photographers especially know what I'm talking about when I say, oh my God, yes. You know, it's that moment where you say, that's what I was looking for. That's what it is. I thought I had it and I wasn't getting that. So, but we shot about 50 shots of various things. And I said, okay, one of those will work. Because again, there's a deadline looming. I got to present something. Then on the way out of town, we passed by this split rail fence. And I had said to Joe when we were on our way in, I said, oh, you know, I want to take a picture of that fence. And she reminded me on the way out and said, do you still want to take a picture there? And I said, yeah, whatever. Pulled in, took a look at it and said, let's get the wings and let's try this again. And what I got was the final product, which again, I'll try to keep the glare off of it, sorry for my screen, which I called Wingtips and Wingtips. And I don't know if you can tell, I'm really sorry, I'm a Luddite and I don't know how to share my screen, but I don't know if you can tell by right in the bottom corner there in the front, there's a loose feather that I purposely added there. And that's basically just to represent that even angels can be a little flawed, and that's okay. You know, we all have our little flaws, but we still do good in the world. And this picture sold. This is my copy. This picture sold, and it sold to the person who wrote the note. It sold to Paul Adler, who is a wonderful social justice advocate, and who I'm a big fan of. And he has, this is a working copy. It's not even the actual picture. He has the only print of this picture that I will ever make. It was a very personal thing reading his note. And I just said, that was by him and that was for him. So that's it. Sometimes I'll make lots of prints, but he's got the one. That's it. So that was my little tale about process and how sometimes things don't work out the way you want, like my shared drive. But there are happy accidents along the way, and sometimes things work out better than they were supposed to in the first place. That's me.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kayla. That was great. And Kayla, check out the comments in the chat. People had really nice things to say. And yeah, thank you so much. So we're coming to the end of the night, and we have some parting words from Laura Goodman and Mimi Goodman from PFLAG Rockland.
So I just want to say this was so much more than I ever imagined. I'm a big crier, so I pretty much cried through this entire thing. And I want to say I'm a school psychologist, and I work in a high school, and I'm constantly telling my students, talking to them about self-care these days more than ever. And then I have these PFLAG, so, I facilitate the PFLAG support groups, and I'm always talking to everyone about self-care. And I'm not particularly good about it myself, but this to me tonight was self-care, because it, and I bet it was for all of you. I felt it, I just want to thank you all for that. I mean, I feel so much better now than I did when I got here. So thank you for providing self-care for me tonight. It was really so beautiful. My heart is just full. Thank you. I also just want to give a little shout out. I want to say that our PFLAG organization is run by an incredible executive board, and some of them are here tonight. We got obviously Mimi, but Jerry Goodman is here, and I think Kim Barry is here. I'm pretty sure that's Kim. And of course, Lisa D'Amico is our newest addition and just doing incredible stuff for our organization. So I just want to mention that. Oh, there's Kim. I wasn't sure, but I'm glad I said it. So I just wanted to say that. Also, our support groups run the first and third Wednesday of every month. We welcome all friends, family members, and allies of the LGBTQ community. You can get in touch with us through our email or our phone number or our website, which is a little glitchy at the moment, but we're working on it. And so I'm going to put all that information in the chat. And Mimi, you can wrap it up. You got to unmute, Mimi.
Thank you, Kayla Sharp, who told me to unmute. The technologically challenged told me what to do. Anyway, Rosa, I'm so blown away by all the artists. And I have to tell you, I cannot do two things at the same time. I can never write in the chat and be concentrating on what the artists, looking at the art. And I'm from a family of artists and an art lover. I'm just so beautiful. And thank you for bringing art to us, which we cannot live without during this pandemic time. I mean, just always, we can never live without it, but just thank you, so beautiful. So Lisa, we thank you tremendously, our executive board member, artist extraordinaire, left brain, right brain, extraordinary person. And I want to thank her two lifelong friends, Michael Kraft and Aviva Sakolsky. Did I say that right? Who Lisa told me that without them, this would not have happened, that they saved her and saved this beautiful 30-day festival. So PFLAG Rockland is so grateful that we are the conduit for this live arts grant. Now I have to tell you, we don't know what that means. We have no idea, but I knew I had to say that we are the conduit, and we don't know what it means. And if you don't know what it means, it doesn't matter either, but we only know it's a really good thing, that we are the recipients of being the conduit of this grant. And we know that it helps us do the important work of helping LGBTQ plus children, which is the most important thing in the world for the people of PFLAG. So to wrap it up, thank you to Lisa and all the beautiful artists. You're just amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to the amazing artists. Thank you to PFLAG Rockland. Please check out the rocklandartsfestival.org website. There are over 175 visual artists who will blow your mind, including the 4 artists that spoke this evening. And we have an entire month of free virtual arts events. So please join us again one evening this month, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everybody, and support local art. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.